Welcome to Space Drift. For more updates, please subscribe to the channel. I'm sure you've heard the news. It began with a flash. A blinding, searing light, brighter than the sun, erupted in the morning sky. For a brief moment, time itself seemed to stop as the world was illuminated by an unnatural brilliance. On August 6, 1945, the sky over Hiroshima split open with a light not of this world, a silent brilliance that consumed everything. The mushroom cloud rose, towering and monstrous, casting a shadow that would haunt history forever. There was no warning. One moment the city hummed with life, the next there was only light. Children walked to school, shopkeepers opened their doors, and families prepared for another ordinary day, unaware of the fate about to befall them. A wave of heat incinerated everything in its path, followed by a force that flattened the city in an instant. The blast shattered windows miles away, and the firestorm that followed devoured what little remained. Buildings vanished, stone and steel pulverized, and people were reduced to shadows burned onto the pavement. The outlines of lives, frozen in an instant, became haunting reminders of unimaginable loss. In a single instant, Hiroshima was erased, and the world was thrust into the atomic age. The city, once vibrant and alive, was now a wasteland of ash and silence. News of the destruction spread slowly, first as confusion, then as horror. Survivors staggered through the ruins, searching for loved ones, while the world struggled to comprehend the scale of devastation. President Truman announced America had dropped a new kind of bomb, harnessing the basic power of the universe. The world listened in shock as the unimaginable became reality. For the first time, humanity held the power of its own annihilation. The boundaries of science had been pushed beyond imagination, and the consequences were both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The promise of scientific progress now carried a terrible threat. The same minds that unlocked the secrets of the atom had unleashed a force capable of ending civilization itself. The bombing forced Japan's surrender, but left a legacy of moral and ethical questions that remain unresolved. The world would never be the same, and the shadow of Hiroshima would linger for generations. The story of the atomic bomb is not just about war, but about science, politics, and the profound human cost of conflict. It is a story of invention and destruction, of hope and horror, and of the choices that define our humanity. By summer 1945, Japan was exhausted, starving, and battered by relentless bombing. Yet its leaders refused to surrender. Daily life was a struggle. Food was scarce, cities were tinderboxes, and air raids were constant. Most men were at war. Women, children, and the elderly kept the country running. Propaganda demanded honorable death over surrender, but beneath the surface, the nation was bleeding. Hiroshima, a military hub, had been spared firebombing, giving residents a false sense of security. On August 6th, the city bustled with life, soldiers, workers, students, unaware of the fate approaching from the sky. They were caught between the myth of glorious resistance and the grim reality of a war already lost. Far from the front lines of World War II, hidden from the chaos and destruction raging across Europe and the Pacific, in the vast sun-baked expanse of the New Mexico desert, a secret project was quietly taking shape, one that would alter the course of history. Here, the Manhattan Project raced against time, striving to unlock the secrets of the atom before their enemies could do the same. Spurred by the terrifying possibility of a Nazi atomic bomb, the U.S. government assembled a team of the world's brightest minds, led by General Leslie Groves and the brilliant physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, at a remote laboratory in Los Alamos. Scientists, engineers, and their families lived behind barbed wire, shrouded in secrecy, driven by the urgent mission to build the bomb before the Axis powers could. Day and night, they wrestled with the mysteries of nuclear fission, scribbling equations on blackboards and assembling strange new devices, all in hopes of unleashing a force unlike anything the world had ever seen. The project's reach extended far beyond New Mexico, with massive secret facilities in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanford, Washington, working tirelessly to produce the enriched uranium and plutonium needed for the bomb. After years of feverish work, countless setbacks, and moments of doubt, the team prepared for their ultimate test, Trinity, scheduled for the early morning hours of July 16, 1945. As dawn broke over the desert, the device known as the Gadget was detonated, unleashing a blinding flash of light and a towering mushroom cloud that vaporized the steel tower and fused the desert sand into glass, forever changing the landscape. Witnessing the awesome power they had unleashed, Oppenheimer famously recalled words from the Bhagavad Gita. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The secret was out. News of the atomic bomb's success spread rapidly and the world would never be the same again. The atomic age had begun, ushering in a new era of science, power, and uncertainty for all of humanity. With the Trinity test's success, President Truman faced a decision that would shape history. The Pacific War was brutal. American planners feared an invasion of Japan would cost millions of lives. The bomb offered a way to end the war without a bloody invasion. Truman's advisors debated, demonstrate the bomb or use it on a city. A demonstration was rejected. Failure could embolden Japan, and the psychological impact was uncertain. The committee chose to use the bomb on a city with military significance, untouched by previous raids. Kyoto was spared. Hiroshima, Kokura, Niigata, and Nagasaki were selected. The calculus was grim: maximum impact, minimum warning. The order was given. The wheels of history turned toward Hiroshima. The world braced for the consequences. The atomic bomb was no longer a secret. It was a weapon ready to be unleashed. On the morning of August 6, 1945, the world changed forever. The Enola Gay, a B-29 bomber, took off from Tinian Island carrying a single devastating payload, the atomic bomb known as Little Boy. Its destination was the Japanese city of Hiroshima, a place that until that moment had been untouched by the war's most destructive weapons. Below, the city bustled with life. Soldiers marched to their posts, workers hurried to factories, and children played in the streets. No one suspected that, high above, a new kind of weapon was approaching, one that would forever alter the course of history. At exactly 8:15 a.m., the bomb was released. It fell silently for 43 seconds before detonating 1,900 feet above the city, unleashing a force unlike anything the world had ever seen. In an instant, a blinding flash lit up the sky. A fireball millions of degrees hot vaporized everything directly beneath it, erasing buildings, trees, and people in a matter of seconds. The shockwave tore through the city, flattening homes and offices. Fires erupted everywhere, merging into a massive firestorm that swept through the ruins, consuming anything that remained. Survivors, many horribly burned and injured, wandered the devastated streets in a daze. As they searched for loved ones and shelter, black radioactive rain began to fall, spreading further misery and contamination. In just a few minutes, Hiroshima was transformed into a vision of hell, an inferno of smoke, fire, and unimaginable suffering. 70 to 80,000 people died instantly, their lives extinguished in a heartbeat. Tens of thousands more would perish in the days, weeks, and months that followed, succumbing to burns, injuries, and the mysterious effects of radiation sickness. The city was reduced to ashes, its people left to endure unimaginable pain and loss, their lives forever changed by a single moment. News of the bombing spread rapidly across the globe. The world had witnessed the dawn of a new, terrifying power, one that threatened the very future of humanity. It was as if the sun itself had fallen on Hiroshima, leaving only devastation in its wake. The consequences of that day would echo for generations, shaping the lives of survivors and their descendants, and serving as a somber warning to the world. The atomic age had begun, and humanity would never be the same. After Hiroshima, Japan's leaders hesitated. The US prepared a second strike. On August 9, 1945, Boxcar carried Fat Man toward Kokura, but clouds forced a diversion to Nagasaki. At 11:02 a.m., the bomb detonated over the Urakami Valley, its force partially contained by the hills. The Mitsubishi Arms Works and Urakami Cathedral were obliterated. Thousands died instantly, including many forced laborers. The devastation echoed Hiroshima: blinding flash, shockwave, firestorm. 40,000 perished that day. Many more would die from injuries and radiation. The second bombing shattered any illusion that Hiroshima was a one-time event. Japan's leaders now faced annihilation from the air and invasion from the Soviets. The psychological blow was devastating. The time for debate was over. The world had seen the power of the atomic bomb. Twice, surrender was now inevitable. The war's end was near. The destruction of Nagasaki and the Soviet invasion broke Japan's resistance. The Supreme War Council was deadlocked. Prime Minister Suzuki turned to Emperor Hirohito. In a historic decision, the emperor chose surrender to end his people's suffering. Even then, a coup nearly derailed peace, but the plot failed. On August 15, 1945, the Japanese people heard their emperor's voice for the first time. He spoke of a new and most cruel bomb, and announced Japan's surrender. The war was over. On September 2nd, aboard the USS Missouri, Japan formally surrendered. After 6 years of global conflict, World War II had ended. For Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors, the Hibakusha, the end of war was the start of lifelong suffering. They faced ruined cities, lost families, and the invisible poison of radiation. Many developed mysterious illnesses, fevers, hair loss, and fatal radiation sickness. Survivors endured higher cancer risks, birth defects, and deep psychological trauma. Social discrimination followed as fear and ignorance isolated them. Yet, the Hibakusha found purpose in sharing their stories. Sadako Sasaki, a young victim, folded paper cranes for peace, inspiring a global movement. Hiroshima and Nagasaki rebuilt as cities of remembrance, not forgetting their past. Memorials and museums honor the victims and educate future generations. The Hibakusha became powerful advocates for nuclear abolition. Their stories transformed tragedy into a universal plea for peace. They remind the world of the true cost of nuclear war. Their voices echo, never again. The atomic bombings ended World War II, but cast a shadow over humanity's future. The mushroom cloud became the symbol of an age where self-destruction was possible. The US nuclear monopoly was brief. The Soviet Union soon followed, igniting the Cold War. For decades, the world lived under the threat of mutually assured destruction. The legacy of 1945 is still debated: military necessity or moral catastrophe. Today, thousands of nuclear weapons remain, and the threat of proliferation endures. The Hibakusha's stories and the ruins of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are solemn reminders. These are not abstract weapons but instruments of unimaginable suffering. We must remember, not to assign blame, but to accept our shared responsibility. The shadow of the atomic bomb must never fall again.